I'm just going to double check now. So I'm just having a quick look online on my system to see that I think I'm looking live on Facebook, and I can see that information. Let me just check the actual Facebook group. If you don't know, my name is Thomas Parkinson, and I run the UK-based Amazon arbitrage lead service, FastTrackFBA. And today I'm basically going through a live Q&A session with some questions from the FastTrackFBA Facebook group members that they've asked some questions throughout the week, and every 2 weeks I basically do a live with people in the group, whether they be paying customers or not. They're just basically Amazon sellers, and we're talking about different things which are going on in our businesses, and also as well I'm sharing my tips and tricks that I know. So, and if I just kind of break it down, I have personally been selling on Amazon now for 3 years, or just over 3 years actually, and I've been doing 6 figures every single year. And I'm not saying I'm an expert, I'm a guru, not at all, but I've certainly learned some things, and I've been through a lot of stuff, a lot of headaches, a lot of pain, a lot of problems. And you know what? I'm happy to share that back to people in the group, other Amazon sellers, and obviously if they ask me questions, I will do these lives and give them my information. I'm not saying what I'm doing is the best way or the perfect way, but it's certainly a way which I found that works, and if I were to do it again, here's how I might do it. So that's what I'm kind of going through today. So I'm just kind of checking right now. I can see I'm live on the Facebook feed. So if you are on Facebook, say hi. And I've got Luca who already said hi. Luca, great to see you. I'll give you a like. And I'm just going to check on the YouTube, because apparently we're going live on YouTube. And I think my restream is saying I'm live, which is great, because today is the first day that I've actually done live on YouTube, which is going to be fantastic. But I just want to quickly check and see if actually I am live on that, because that's something that I've never done before, and I'm trying to feed out. So if you're watching this live on YouTube, be sure to give me a comment, say hi, and that'd be great, just to say that you're there, and obviously I can kind of answer any questions and see what's going on. So interesting, YouTube says I'm live now, which is fantastic, and we've got one person watching, so I'm not sure who is watching, but obviously do drop down in the comments below, just say hi. Obviously give me a thumbs up if you like it. If you like watching these things live, that's fantastic. So what I'm looking at right now is I can see the live is there. I will have that on my screen, so I'll try and answer any questions. So if you've got any questions today about anything that I'm doing, be sure to answer that on the, or ask it on the Facebook group, or if that's Facebook group Fast Track FBA, or if you're interested in watching it on YouTube, ask questions there, and obviously I'll try and answer them if we've got enough time. But generally I'm doing it for an hour. But hey, let me just kind of recap. So, if you don't know who I am, my name is Thomas Parkinson, and I run FastTrack FBA, which is a UK-based Amazon arbitrage lead service. And what we do is we basically go out, we source, we find leads 7 days a week for our customers, and we do something quite unique in the fact that we show everyone the leads that we find. So we show you everything. We show you the deals, the information, the historical thing. The only thing we hide is the supplier and the ASIN. And then if you look at all the information, you're happy with it, and you say, look, I like the look of that deal, then what you can do is quite simply is unlock that information through our web portal, and then you will get the supplier and the ASIN. And then you can go and check it, and hey, if you're hazmated, or not if you're hazmat, we check that. If you're gated, or the deal doesn't work for you, you can simply log an issue and get your tokens back. So that's something that I do when I'm not selling on Amazon personally, is an arbitrage lead service for UK-based Amazon sellers. And what I will point out is, while I am a six-figure seller, I do not buy any deals that I sell to my customers. I do not compete with them. I also do not even source from the same stores as my customers. So I'm not even hiding any deals back. I'm literally giving them the deals that I found, that I've learned. I do different types of sourcing now, but I still really enjoy that element, and I'm very happy to share back, and hence why we created Fast Track FBA lead service, because there's a lot of people who can take advantage of those deals. So that's a little bit about me, and I've also now been, like I said before, I've been selling now for 3 years on Amazon and doing 6 figures every single year from the beginning. And I've been doing it full time, and if you don't know, I live out in Vietnam, and today, interesting enough, Vietnam is very, very hot, but today is a little bit colder, hence why I've got my jumper on, and I'm just keeping myself warm. But it's 11 o'clock at night now, so this will be the last thing that I do before I go to bed. So I'm just going to quickly check now. I'm going back to the Facebook group, so this is live on Facebook, and also it's live on YouTube, so if you've got any questions, feel free to ask me. So I'm just having a look now. We've got Luca in, thank you very much. Oh, we've got double echo. I'm just going to quickly check now. I'm going back to the Facebook. I think your headphones are leaking sound into your mic. 1 second, let me check. Let me just check this. Where are we getting our audio from? Video camera background. Mic audio. Mic camera capture. Setup. I think thank you for the in thing. Let me just check my audio and how I'm doing that. Sample rate, mix, default, right, disabled. Hotkeys, video, stream, general. I'm just checking my settings. I think we've got a double overlay. If I can go, 1 second. Actually, if I try this, I'm just checking my settings. I think we've got a double overlay. If I can go, 1 second. Actually, if I try this, turn that back on. Okay, interesting. Microphone. Sorry, I'm just checking this audio. And it's playing. Oh, no sound. Okay, so Sean's saying no sound. We've got like a double echo and no sound. Let me... Okay, interesting. Microphone. So that's a little bit about me. And I've also now been... And doing 6 figures every single year. It's playing. Oh, no sound. Okay, so Sean's saying no sound. I've been doing it full time. And if you don't know, echo and no sound. And today, interesting enough, Vietnam is very, very hot. Today is a little bit colder, hence why I've got my jumper on, and I'm just keeping myself warm. But it's 11. Okay, hopefully that should be better. I think there's something going on whereby I'm literally kind of repeating the video back that I'm watching on YouTube. So I've muted those channels. So if someone could just drop a message down below to say that sounds better now, that would be really appreciated. And I think I'm set up right. So let me know if that is better. Hopefully it is. Right. So if I just kind of go through today, what I want to go through, and the one thing which I'm talking about, and what I'll just kind of talk through here, is, oh, I can't see that at the moment, is to say I put a post out in my Facebook group, FastTrackFBA, beforehand, and this was very much based around what do people want to talk about. So we've got some questions here around people looking to understand more about VA, I talked about VAs, and if I just go small, because I can share it with you guys here as well, but just check that, yep, I'm small. So what I got here is, I talked about VAs, and Sav has asked about financial management of the business. So I wouldn't mind talking a little bit about that, what I kind of check on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. I won't go through month-to-month because, to be honest, that's my P&L, and you should be checking that on a P&L on a monthly basis. But I might just talk about what I do on a weekly basis to help out. And I've put some PowerPoints together, and I hate PowerPoint, but the reason is there's a lot of information in there that I don't want to share, and I hope you can understand why. It's all quite personal with business. But what I'm quite happy to do is cut out and hide certain parts, but then show you kind of a screen dump of that. And then also as well, Chris here has asked about creating a system around returns, warehouse damages, and definitely I'm going to talk about that. And Chris, I've put together something quite small to start with. And then finally, Sean also as well, who he has said, he has also said he's having trouble with VAT, and I know a lot of people are going about this. Okay, so Luca's saying it could be a little bit louder. Hopefully that's better. If I see if I can turn this up. There we go. Okay, so hopefully she said that's a little bit louder for Luca. But Sean has also mentioned something about VAT in regards to getting VAT, and I've got a little piece that I talk about how I do my bookkeeping for VAT, and whether it be VAT registered or not VAT registered, this bookkeeping works quite well, and just the general thought process behind it can be quite useful. So look, I've been talking quite a bit, introductions and obviously technical issues, and I am live also as well on YouTube, which is fantastic. So if you've got any questions throughout, just ask me, but I'm going to crack on because I appreciate time is a wasting. So look, if I kind of start off, and I hate doing PowerPoint, but I'm doing this on PowerPoint now, and if I just double check, yep, I'm full. is the fact that I'm doing it on PowerPoint because what I'm trying to do is show you certain elements. So the reason why I'm doing this on PowerPoint now is because, interesting enough, the first question we had asked here, which is from Chris, which is around creating a system around returns, warehouse damages, distributor damages, and reimbursements. I've kind of built something for this, but I've already done it through a database and integrated it through Slack, and I have a whole workflow just going for a VA. Now, that wouldn't be applicable. That wouldn't work for you in your business because obviously I've built that and it's customized only for my business. But what I can do is kind of talk about how I might go about doing it. So look, if you're getting a lot of like returns, warehouse damages, distributor damages, reimbursements. Now, reimbursements I'll share later, and I'll probably drop a post in it. I took something from another Amazon seller who now has stopped selling, a guy called Dan Ashton, and he shared a really good kind of his, I think, 10 steps to just doing reimbursements, and I'll share that in the post later, or if you're watching it on the replay, I will drop it down below. That's just a quick step-by-step how you can go about getting reimbursements manually without having to use any software. Now, I'm not saying that's going to be the perfect way. Software might pick up some more, but that could be quite useful. But for me, when we're talking about things like distributor damage, warehouse damages, this is predominantly when, for example, you are shipping products into Amazon and you've got products on sale or just shipped in, and Amazon's come back to you and said, well, this product is warehouse damaged, maybe distributor damaged, and it's unfillable inventory. So that's a bit frustrating. Now, for you is to say, look, for you is that's a pain. First of all, you want to get your money back, but also you want to be like, hey, I'm not shipping in bad quality products. Why are they getting damaged? But also as well, you're getting customer returns that need to be dealt with. If you haven't got it turned on, I'd really recommend doing it. On the Amazon settings, you can basically make sure that it's on by default, by the way, but just making sure that Amazon refurbishes or checks returns from customers and then sells them again. I'd probably say something like 80% of all my returns will get resold, get put back out. Amazon says they're good enough quality. But 20% come back to me. If you haven't, it means you've all got to get them shipped back, inspected, and then shipped back in again, and then on sale. It slows the whole process down. It's not worth it. But I'll just quickly go through weekly unfillable inventory. Now, for me in my business, I do this actually weekly because I've had it once before where Amazon said, oh, you haven't dealt with it quick enough. We're now going to destroy this product, because that's what they say. They say if you haven't removed it within a certain period, we will destroy it automatically. And interesting enough, it was something like a £250 product, and I was like, oh my god. So I'd much rather just pay to get everything back, get it inspected, and get it done. So look, for me, this is built into a workflow automatically, but this is what I kind of do, and I just thought I'd share this with you because I appreciate that Chris has asked this question. So coming back, my warehouse process is my VA basically will return this product. She'll basically every week she'll get the products, put them into a shipment, and get them returned to the warehouse. She'll then log all these returns on our system, but she'll basically log them with the warehouse and on a spreadsheet. And for us, that's one and the same. It doesn't matter. The moment she logs it, it's basically telling the warehouse you've got something coming in. Now, the warehouse doesn't understand what the difference is between a shipment coming from Argos or a shipment coming from Amazon. They're exactly the same. They get inspected as they come in, and for us, is to understand that. So again, the warehouse know about it, and it gets logged to the prep center. Now, for you personally, you might log that as well. The warehouse check them in, and they do an inspection on them. So they literally just check the products, say how they are. And interesting enough, on our warehouse software that we use with our warehouse, they basically have an option to say, it defaults to say, yep, this product is good, or no, it needs to be resold, or no, it needs to be destroyed. So they can, they can choose, they can let us know. And the moment it does anything other than good to sell, i.e. needs to be resold or it needs to be destroyed, then we get an email immediately about it to say this is the problem. So for us, it's the moment we return it, if Amazon haven't really checked in it should be sold, then the warehouse will just put it back through the process. But if it shouldn't be sold or resold, then the warehouse tick that box and we get an email and it goes into a different workflow. So for us, when you're talking about returns, most of the time these will probably go into a workflow of being resold. Now, obviously, I said here we'll reship them back to Amazon, or we'll resell them on Amazon, or interesting enough, we'll resell them on eBay. Now, we have a deal with our warehouse whereby they will resell them, and I know if you want to know, we use a guy called Sam at Easy Logic, and he's happy to do that for other sellers. And whereby you ship your returns to him and he'll inspect them and then sell them on, and he takes a percentage of the revenue, not the profit, the revenue. And for me personally, for my business, I'm out in Vietnam. I cannot be getting his returns shipped to Vietnam. It's just not viable. But for him, he manages it, he deals with it. I'm getting some money back off it. It makes viable sense. And then for me, we might destroy products which are just damaged or anything wrong, and that happens. And then anything else, i.e., if there should be a problem, if they haven't been shipped back, then I'll obviously log a claim. If it's like warehouse damage, I'll chase that up, log a claim, and just keep a record of that. And I'll go through that record in a second. And for you, the final point which I say is, don't do it yourself. This is not worth it. This is administration. This is administrative tasks. Yes, do it, get your system sorted, but the moment you understand the way it works, outsource it to someone, because you're not adding value. You add value when you go find those amazing deals. You're not adding value to this, because whether you do it or a VA does it, it just needs to happen. There's no value add in there. There's no skill that you need to add on. A VA can be doing this for you because it's just a process. So for me, and I kind of drew up a quick spreadsheet here that I might use, is to say here, and if I kind of try and zoom in, go back to this spreadsheet, and I'll go big, is to say, look, on here I'd have something like date, the date when I've logged it. I'd have like an ASIN, I'd have my SKU, my quantity, how many I'm getting returned, if it's been returned already, what's the return ID, any notes against it, so it's warehouse damage, and then I'll talk about what my action to take is, so I request a refund, and if I've created a refund already, what the refund ID is, and then my next action is check to refund, and then action last taken, so when I last action that issue, and then I'll say, has it been finished or not? And all I do is just do that on a Google Sheet, and I just filter it by finished. So anything outstanding, once a week, log new shipments back in, and then anything kind of carry on that needs to be dealt with, I'd log as well. But I'd just get a VA to do that. Get any shipments, any products that need to be returned, and then deal with any actions from the last week that need to happen. And I'd also ask my VA to keep me updated. So for example, how many shipments have we had returned, what's going on, is there anything over 3 weeks old, for example, that we need to really get on top of, and I just want to kind of understand what's going on. But like I mentioned before, any stock that does get returned, that goes into the same workflow as stock coming in from suppliers like Argos, Tesco, for example, and then that'll go back through that workflow. So it might be, even if things that need destroying, they'll just get destroyed. But that again will be a report. And it might be to say with my VA, hey look, if it's under £50, destroy it. If it's over £50, please let me know, and I will make that decision. But for you, it's about just building in those systems with your team to speed up your process and make your life a lot easier. But hopefully you found that good. So I'm just going to come back now into the chat. So I'm just going to come back to Facebook. So I can see I'm live now. Oh, I can see I'm on. And I've got Sean mentioned something about, I think, Luke or something. I'm just going to refresh this page. Okay, so Sean just said, I just went live. I see Luke watching now. That's great. And Luke said it sounds better, so that's fantastic. Okay, brilliant. So good sound is good there. Any questions about that? And for me, that is kind of really just a simple, like, how I deal with returns, how I deal with them. But if there's anything else, drop a question down below. So look, for the next part I'd probably talk about is, we had a question come in which was really around, give me 2 seconds, which was really based around how do I manage my business on a day-to-day basis? Like, what do I look at? Now, in my business, 1 second. In my business, what I'm really looking at is I look at my business on a monthly basis, but I'm also looking at my business on a weekly basis or a day-to-day, even things like using Seller Board, sorry, I should get that one right. I use internal software, so I don't really touch Seller Board that often. I don't need to. I have it all built into a database. But I'd look on like Seller Board, or my equivalent of every single day, looking at that. And then on a weekly basis, there's probably 2 areas that I'm really going to focus on. So if I kind of talk through is, and if I just kind of talk through what I'm really looking at on my weekly basis is, and interesting enough, I get a VA to do most of this for me, but I will get them to do me basically a mini P&L. Now this P&L, and what I'll try and do is I'll share it with you here. I'll share a link to these Excel files afterwards so you can have a look. So if I kind of go small, if I just double check, yeah, I'm small. So look, this is a mini P&L which I kind of use on a rolling weekly basis. Now I get my VA to create this, and really what I'm looking at is income, costs, and how I'm looking at on a weekly basis rolling up towards the month end. Now you can pretty much do this in Seller Board or Seller Legend, but I just like to have it on Excel. The reason is I can do this, I can get the VA to literally copy and paste it, dump it into Slack, and I have a screenshot and I can see it change every week, and I really like that. And also as well, I have a meeting with my team and we talk through this. We literally go, okay, how are sales, what's going on, and I can kind of see my costs. But also as well, the one thing I do really like is by showing my costs on a weekly basis, I'm acutely aware of them, and I'm acutely saying, do I really need that, and is it adding so much value? Or if I'm spending the money, why am I not using it? Like, come on guys, we're buying this, we're doing this, I need to be using this. That value is costing me a lot, and I'm just aware of my costs, but I'm also aware of my income and how we're performing. So you can look at it on a like for like, i.e. how you're doing against last year. But for me, really, what I get my VA to do is literally come in, and by sales, this is gross profit actually. So we're not talking about revenue, we're talking about how much money profit have I made after the selling and the cost of goods. So every week. So we might say, look, this week, or on the 4th of November, I made £500, for example. Now, I have obviously my payroll, because obviously I get paid. Now, I might get paid, I don't know, let's say £150. And my team might be costing me another £100. So I'm making £500 gross profit, and that's after taxes because I am VAT registered, and then my payroll's cost me £250. Now I have all these other little costs down here, like an Amazon professional selling account, Amazon Prime account. I have a virtual office address where my limited company is registered. I have a telephone answering service who answers the telephone for me, because obviously I'm not in the country. I have a telephone number. I have a virtual telephone number as well. I have a website. I have insurance, emails, etc., etc., etc. I've got loads of different things going on. And for you is to say, look, what I'm really looking at is to say, these costs are here. So look, I can kind of it's got like yearly overdraft fees. So like I have a Santander business account, yearly overdraft fees also, and overdraft monthly fee. I put them all in there, so I can just see them add up. And what I'm looking at is these are all my fixed costs. So these are the costs I'm getting every single week, and they'll be broken down on a weekly basis. And then in addition to that, I'm getting variable costs. So I'm getting things like, I don't know, I might hire someone, like I might do I might have like a coach for a one-off, I don't want that, or I might want to do, I don't know, what might I do in my Amazon business as a one-off cost. There might be something coming in that might be a one-off cost. Maybe it might be expertise. It might be that I'm hiring a developer to do a bit of, if you're using like tactical arbitrage, you might have someone doing some, creating XPath for a certain thing, for a certain store. You might drop that in there. But the thing is, I'm aware it's not a fixed cost, it's a one-off cost. But also as well, what I like to see is that, hey, have I made money? And at the moment this is going red for some reason. Have I made money? And then once I know I'm making money, then I'm happy to spend a bit more on my variable costs because I know everything else is made. So for me on a weekly basis, I literally get my VA to come in, put in my gross profit on a weekly basis every single week, put in all the costs for that week, and then put in the fixed costs as well. Obviously they're the same every week, and then any variable costs I spend. And as the week goes by, I just let her know. And then obviously we tally that up and we look at how much am I making profit-wise for the month. So let's go make that. No, don't do that. That's fine. But so for me, how much am I due to make profit-wise? And the reason is I can track this throughout the month. And then what I can do is when I come to the end of the month, and interesting enough, what we do is we get all the the bank statements together, we get the cost of goods all together, everything done, and probably that's around the 5th to the 10th of the month. I think generally on about the 12th, and it's a bit later than I'd like it to be, we actually get a full P&L report. But what I can do is I can look at what my weekly estimation is versus my full P&L, and I can kind of go, whoa, something's not right here, or I can go, yeah, that's about where I think it is. But the reason is when I get a full P&L report, it can take quite a while, so I want to see this more, I want to react quicker. I don't want to have to wait 15 days, 12 days after the end of the month to find out what's happened last month. I need to know that ASAP. So that's a little bit about the weekly P&L. I'm just going to jump back into Facebook and YouTube to see if there's any other questions about that before I move on to the next one. Let's close that down. So no questions at the moment from the group, but if there is anything, do let me know. And I'll just check on YouTube. Nope, we've got nothing on there. So that's a little bit about that weekly cost that I go through. And then the other one I look at on a weekly basis is cash flow. And I'll share this with you afterwards, so don't worry. This is a cash flow sheet that I use. So I've kind of trimmed out some bits, but generally speaking, I have conversions up here because you're converting from euros. Now, what I'm going to do is just hide these to make it a bit easier. and I will try and zoom in a bit, so just to make it easier on your screen. So we have, look, I put in the date, and I have effectively 6 weeks. And the reason is I want to be able to see what big costs I've got coming up. Now, there's two elements. In my business, I want to make money, but also as well, what I need to be doing is I need to be making sure that I've got enough cash to keep my business afloat. And that's really important. So at the moment, I run a Santander business account, not a problem. And I'm running, so say for example, I've got £2,000 in cash in my bank account right now. What I'll do is I will actually get I'll get my VA to do this for me, and I will just double check it and then make the final decision on how much we spend that week. So I'll say I've got £2,000 in my bank account, transfer wise, obviously my European Amazon account, how much money I've got, and I've got anything in PayPal, whether it's relevant or not. And then also how much have I got coming in. So I basically disburse my Amazon account every week. I'm on the new ones whereby it's defaults every 2 weeks, and I have to wait 2 weeks. So basically I just do it on a Monday, it works really well, and it works for my business. So I'm not waiting 2 weeks, I'm doing it every week on a Monday. And I'm basically putting in, when I click disburse, then I get an email come through, my VA will check that email and go, okay, you've got £1,000 coming in from Amazon UK, and you've got €100 coming in from each of the others. So I know straight away that I've got £2,000 in my bank account, I've got 332 in transfer-wise, I'm going to transfer across, and also I've got incoming this week of that much money. And then basically my total income here is saying 1,336, and my total cash, if I didn't do anything, would be £3,668. So that's just kind of giving me my cash flow, my cash at the moment. And then below that I've got expenses. So I know that per month my payroll is £500, but in my business I pay my staff once every 2 weeks. So I just put in here, I go 250, 250, 250, and they can see that. And then I've got general expenses per month. So let's say, for example, and this is completely made up, by the way, general expenses per month is 150, which is not right because that's 125, 125. So you might say, look, 3750, and then go 3750. Interesting. 3750. It's defaulting to some different currency. I'll go back. So for me, then what I'm saying here is my general expenses per month. Now, I might say that I spend 150 per month. I don't. I spend a lot more than that, but I just know roughly I'm going to need this much per week. And then also as well, if I've got warehouse, like I use a prep center, when does that bill come in? Roughly how much is it? And I'm saying in this case it's £100. It's not. It's a lot more. But also as well, if I'm VAT registered, that's a big hit. I hate paying VAT. Don't get me wrong. It's a pain. But also as well, the fact that it's a big lump sum that I have to pay every 3 months is just a pain, but I need to make sure I cash flow that. So I will put that in, and by having these 6 weeks, it allows me just to see when big costs are coming up. For example, right now my big cost coming up in a minute is actually going to be the 13-month payroll for the staff, because in the Philippines we pay 13-month payroll. So, and then also as well, if I've got any credit accounts that need paying. So it might be like my supplier, my Santander account, my Amex, I've got 2 credit cards that I use. And then also as well, how much am I looking to pay? So I might say, look, the Amex bill has to be paid on that week. And then also as well, I might have a supplier account that might be £500 on that week. But it's just to make sure I know what costs I've got coming up in the future, so I can cash flow right. And then finally, I have liabilities. So basically, I might have like Santander, Amex, my supplier credit account 1, supplier credit account 2, for example, and I'd have a limit on those accounts and how much credit I'm currently using. So I just kind of know what my liabilities are. It doesn't mean I need to pay them, not now, but it might mean that I need to actually just be aware of them to say, hey, this is what I've currently got in liabilities. So they're going to have to be paid at some point. So for me, what I literally do is I look at how much money I've got at the moment, how much I've got coming in, what are my costs right now, and then how much can I pay off my credit cards. And then what I'm looking at are what are the big costs I've got coming up. And by looking at that, and then by looking at what are the big costs I've got coming up, I know that, hey, I might spend a bit more this week, or actually I might pull my spending down because I know I've got a really big Amex credit card bill, £5,000 coming up next week. So I need to hey guys, don't spend anything. And I use this sheet to really just kind of get a feel for where all my cash is, how much I can spend, and what I've got coming up, to say to my VA, who's my purchasing manager, hey, this week you can spend £1,000, or this week you can spend £10,000. And we just do that. And if I kind of give you an idea, the way it works is the cash in my bank is my bank, and I use that to pay off the credit card, but I'm actually buying everything on the credit card. So in effect, what I do is I put everything onto the credit card now, and then I pay the credit card off pretty much in full, but not always, next week. And I'll use the cash that I'm earning this week to pay off next week's credit card. So I'm kind of a week behind, if you were to say that if I were to do it on debit, but I'm doing it a week behind using only credit cards, because I do all my purchases through credit cards for cashback and safety, and then I will actually put that through and I'll pay that off as we go. So I use the credit cards for my VAs, and that's what they purchase through, and then I'll use the cash in my bank to pay off the credit cards. And so I'm just saying to her, look, right now you've got 9 grand on the credit card, but you can't spend it all. You can only spend 2 grand this month or this week. And then that's it. She has a 2 grand limit, and that goes into the FAS sheet. And if you don't know, I will put a right here or somewhere here. I'll put it here actually. Is to say I'll put it actually above the FAS sheet, which is about forecasting Amazon sales and stock, where we look at how much sales we're doing, how much sales we're doing for the week, and also how much stock we're buying. So that's helping us forecast what we're doing. So we'll use that as a talk through to say how we're getting on. So they're the 2 reports that I really use on a financial basis, my weekly P&L, and then my cash flow, and then the final one would be the FAS sheet, which is about how much have we actually bought stock-wise, and how much we bought stock-wise, and what's the ROI based on that. And if you want to know every single purchase we have, we put into the FAS sheet on that day, and we can see what's going on. So hopefully, and if I go big again, hopefully that's kind of answered the question which got asked by Sav in regards to financial management, what I'm doing to keep on track of things. And really what I'm really trying to keep on track of is my costs. That's what I'm really looking at, my costs, my income, and how much I can spend. And ultimately what I'm really trying to look at is how much can I actually spend every single week, because I want to spend as much as possible so that I can buy, so I don't have to worry about selling. Or I don't have to worry, I keep as little cash in my account, so I'm buying, so I can have as much stock as possible to sell. That's it. That's all I'm doing. I'm using all my cash all the time. So any questions, drop it down below. I'll have a quick look. So Sean says, I withdraw my Amazon every day in the UK. Sean, not a problem, and you can do that, that's fine. And things like Link My Books are really good for you, useful for that. So that really helps you out. So, and a lot of people do, and I think for you it's just how you're needing that. For me, at my business, where I have massive credit lines, I think if I be honest, I have an Amex credit card with a £100,000 limit on it. I'd never spend £100,000 on it. But because I have such big credit lines, I have the ability to say I can wait 5 days, 6 days, or a week to cash out my UK account and just use credit for that period. I don't need that cash every single minute. So I'm just going to check now on to anything on YouTube and on Facebook. So I'm just having a little look through now. I can't see. If you've got any questions, be sure to drop them down below. I'm just going to write any questions, drop them down below. So that's a little bit about systems in regards to what I do daily checks, and that's for my business. And if there's anything else you want to ask about that, ask me. Now, what I will say is, Sean asked a really good comment, and this is privately, not so much in the group. 1 second. One question he really asked was around about VAT. And in particular, what I'll talk about is bookkeeping. Now, this is the first area of my business, in my Amazon business, that I outsourced. Now, bookkeeping is super, super important. And the reason is because if you get it wrong, you don't understand where your accounts are. And if you don't understand where your accounts are, you don't understand if you're making money or if you're not. And hey, if you get it wrong and you keep getting it wrong, you can be losing money. You can be telling HMRC, Her Majesty Revenue Custom, or the government, wrong information. And obviously they can come after you and say, hey, what's going on? Why are you not reporting right information? And obviously they can fine you, they can take action against your business, and that's just going to be hassle. So for me, outsourcing bookkeeping was super, super important because it just allowed me to get my business in order. And hey, the one thing which I kind of say is, look, the way I look at Amazon is to say, where do I add value? Now, my value is in sourcing. That's pretty much it. Sourcing and sales. They're the 2 areas that I have value. Things like building a shipment, putting a shipment together, prepping it doesn't add value. It's just a process. Whether I do it or someone else does it, there is no more value added to that I can add more than anyone else. Yeah, I can save money, but hey, I'm more about I want to make more money than save money. So I'd much rather have someone prep for me. Also as well, like accounts, I have an accountant, I have a bookkeeper, but doing accounts is just a process. It's do this what I'm about to talk through. That's going to be really useful for you. That's just a process you go through. Now, whether you pay someone in the Philippines to do those books for you or you do it yourself, they're just going to be the same process. There's nothing more that you can do that's going to make it more worthwhile. So my advice would be get someone in the Philippines, maybe someone local that you know, get someone to do your books for you, because you don't add value. It's really not worth it. So what I'll talk through now, I'll go back through a couple of PowerPoints that I created, and I hate using the word PowerPoint, so really sorry about that, is just what I kind of do on my bookkeeping for Amazon arbitrage sellers. So this might be quite useful, might not be not, but this is for Amazon bookkeeping for Amazon. This is bookkeeping for Amazon arbitrage sellers, and this is how I do it in my business, which is VAT registered within the UK. So I'm just going to kind of go through some slides of how we've done it in our business, and I've stripped out some information, hidden some bits, because obviously I don't want to show everything about my business because there's some sensitive information in there. But if you've got any questions, be sure to drop them down below in the comments, and obviously I'll get straight back to you. Right, so let me just go small, and let's just double check that. Yeah, I am small. Okay, so right, if I just come through, so what we do is straight away I'll have a VA every single month, and she actually does this four times a month, so every month she'll go into Xero and she'll reconcile the bank payments. So we automatically import the bank payments into our accounting software, which is Xero, and then what we'll do is she'll basically get that will go into Xero, and then she'll go get a copy of that. So she'll go into reports and she'll get what's known as detailed account transactions, and she's basically getting a report of the whole of our transactions for that period. So what it looks like is this, and it's a bit of whoa. So it's just a report basically showing you, it's kind of like your bank statement. So this one is back at the beginning of January, and this is when I was still doing quite a lot of arbitrage and kind of really winding it down because FastTrackFBA was starting. And you can see here it says like date, payment type, transaction, who it's going to, how much money we're spending, Debenhams 500, 500, 500, 500. I'm just spending a lot on Debenhams, VAT net, VAT to return, VAT name, and it's got invoice requests and remarks. Now, these date through to VAT name, they're on the report. And then what she does is she gets this Excel spreadsheet, and she'll literally just remove all the payments, i.e. like the payments into us. All she's looking for is expenses. So payments are called invoice, and then expenses are called pay, i.e. we pay out on Xero. So she'll literally just get all the payments out, and then she will literally just put in, and by she I mean this is my VA who I taught to do, she'll just put a code in, account in. So she'll label it 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 blah blah blah, and she'll literally come in, and then on this right hand side she'll say, has the invoice been received, yes or no, and then any remarks. And then what she'll do is she'll literally come in and go, okay, John Lewis, £450 on the 2019 on the 1st, and she basically goes into my emails, because you can do what's known as delegate access on Gmail, and she will look for the receipt or the invoice from John Lewis. Now, if it isn't there, she'll actually go log into John Lewis, and she'll try and download it, and she can't download it. She'll then email John Lewis from my emails, preferably like replying to the thing, the summary that we've got, say, hi, can I have a VAT invoice? And if you're not sure, and I'll just share this with you now, is to say, if I just say right now, if I come over to here and say VAT, VAT invoice, there we go. So VAT invoice, HMRC, here we go. And what you're looking at here is this is a really simple guide, just tells you what you need on a VATable invoice and what's required on an invoice. So my basically VA I've taught her and I've learned, and she's learned, she needs to check all these things off. So does it have a VAT number? Does it have the supplier's VAT number? Does it have the trading address? Does it have the total amount ex VAT? Does it have the full VAT on there? Quantities. And she will go through all of that and check every single invoice has got that information on. If she hasn't, she'll go back to them and say, hi guys, this isn't a VAT invoice, can I have a proper one? So then she comes in, and then she'll literally start numbering these and put them into a folder. And I was given an example. This is it. This is a folder. So we have like Google Drive accounts 2018, 2019, invoices 18, 19, January. Voila, voila. She's literally got here, this is the Excel file that I've just loaded up at the top, and then below she's got all these invoices, and you can see they're just in here as a number. Now, this is the way we do it, and there's a reason why we do it this way and something else. So once she starts putting them all into the folder, she'll then just come in and start saying, she'll just say, yeah, we've got it, or no, we haven't. And if it needs chasing, she'll chase it. And then finally what she does, she'll go through each invoice, and then she will check that the VAT we've got recorded on here is correct to the VAT on the invoice, and then she'll change it if it isn't. So she'll make sure that our accounts are got the correct VAT codes as per the invoice. And an example is here, I think, look, this is Santander credit card, this is a payment, cost of goods, John Lewis, we've got 20% VAT. So she'll go in and change that VAT code, and she will do that for every single invoice, every single purchase we have done, and she'll make sure that they are all spot on. Now, her job is to get that done, dusted, pretty much, and all the invoices in the folder by about the 5th. Now, sometimes we can't always get them, and if I give you a really good example, Argos, awful company, absolutely awful company. If you ask them for a VAT invoice, they will mail it to you. They will send it in the post and mail it to you, which is like, why? So what she'll do is she'll know, okay, that's from Argos. She'll make sure it's got the right VAT code, because they've always got VAT if it's the same thing. If it's a new company we've never dealt with before, she'll try and find out. So we'll have this will all be done pretty much by the 5th, with the exception of the odd couple, and then they'll get cleared down by about the 20th of the month. So once she's done that we're happy. She's got them all in a nice folder, we're happy with that, and they go through. Now what I will do is I will come into Xero again, and I will do my VAT returns. So I basically come into here, and if you can't see, or if you see here, I literally come in and I've got VAT returns. This is an old one, for example, VAT registration number, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not too interested in this. I'm not looking. Down here, just kind of I don't know if you can see it because I might be covering it. It says VAT to pay. That's the figure that I'm quite interested in, but I'm not really too interested in that yet. What I'll click on is the VAT audit report. And if I just kind of go through, it says right here, this is the VAT audit report. Now, the VAT audit report basically gives you a full breakdown of everything that you're paying on your VAT summary. Now, this can be everything, whether you're paying VAT on it or not. So whether it's 20%, 0% or no VAT, it all gets recorded. It's all part of Making Tax Digital. And I will literally scroll down every single line of this, looking at this detail, going like eBay sales, Amazon income, blah, 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 blah. And I'll look and I'll just go, okay, Argos. Oh, why has that Argos got 0 VAT on it? That doesn't look right. And then I will go in and check it, and then I will ping it back to my VA and say, can you check this please? I'm not happy with that, or I don't think this is right. And I'll go through it. It doesn't take too long. It probably takes me, half an hour a month to just go through my full VAT return and check it and query a few things. And then once I'm happy with that, and I'm happy with that VAT return, I will then go to my accountant, which is around about the 20th of the month, and I'll just email him and say, hey Joe, I'm really happy, that's all done. I'm not happy to pay it, but obviously that's the thing. But I will email him and say, I've checked it all through, really happy. And then Joe will take it, who's my accountant at e-commerce accountants, and then he'll just check it through. And what he'll do is he'll go through and maybe do a snapshot and look at some of these things, and we share the Google Drive with him. And then he'll say, yeah, I'm happy with that, and he'll submit. Now what you can do, if you want to know, is instead of putting it on a Google Drive, you can put it straight into Xero. Xero has the ability to share or save files. But for me and my business, I started with Google Drive, I prefer it, and also as well, it allows sharing quite well. So it just makes my life a bit easier. And the other problem I have with Xero is right now, you can't scan through Xero and find out where you're missing invoices. So for me, this is a really simple missing, whereas Xero doesn't do that. And then look, once I've done all this and I pass it over to my accountant, interesting enough, we had some feedback from my accountant, and voila, I go through all the bits. I had some feedback, and this is feedback from my accountant, Joe, e-commerce consultant, and he basically said, hey Judette, who is the person who does my accounts, great lady, really good. Thanks for sending these through. You've done a really good job of keeping everything so well organised. I wish my UK team were up to this standard. Fantastic. That's really good to know. And Tom, happy to submit that return. If you are, please confirm, and I'll get HMRC. And that was a really nice email to get from my accountant, not only for me to say that that return's good and all the organisation as well, but also as well for my bookkeeper Juliet, who literally just is on it getting it done, and my accountant is like, we're really happy with that. So that's a little bit about how we do bookkeeping, just kind of going through the process that works really well, and as you say, how I kind of outsource that to a VA and then get them to do it, and how that works with my bookkeeper. So I'm just going to come back now to the YouTube and also to the group, if there's any questions. So I'm just having a little look through. I've got Sean. He says I've withdrawn my account every day, but I think I've seen that. And I'm just going to see if anyone else has dropped any questions in. But I think, Sean, hopefully I've kind of talked a bit about that. But if there's anything else maybe that I'm missing or I haven't talked about in regards to that VAT return, be sure to put it down below and let me know. Because obviously these kind of questions that a lot of people have. But in my business, what I'm really doing is I literally just purchase and send, and purchase, send in, and I outsource that whole bookkeeping side. Now, the question you might ask is, once if you're doing RA, and Sean, I know you're quite a big RA guy, my advice would be is get your phone, the moment you've got that receipt, and photocopy it, maybe have an app or something whereby you photo and send it straight to your VA. And that's all you're after, because your VA can go, this invoice or that photo of that receipt, and here it is on, what do you call it, HM, or on the bank statement. So I would really get that, because that's really useful. Now, I think there is an app, one second, receipt. Yeah, that's done. So there was an app which my accountant Joe got me to start using, but I never really used it because I don't need it. It's called Receipt Bank, where you can literally scan it in and it integrates from your receipts into Xero, which is super useful, and your VAs can literally just kind of take over and do that all for you. And the idea is what you want to be doing is the moment you've bought something, you've taken that photo, you've got it, and then you don't have to deal with it. Like, you can just literally get the receipt and go bin. And because you've got the digital copy, your VA's got it, it's in your system, and it's just going to be processed. That's what I want. I literally don't like handling anything more than once, and I think that's how I would do it for RA. I'd literally make the purchase before I've even moved from the checkout, take the photo, done, move off, and then have my VA do it, maybe put it on a Dropbox, and then they can just process it in that file system like I've got. So look, if there's any kind of questions, I appreciate it's quite a lot to take in, but it's quite a simple process once you get it running. And the idea, and like I said before, is very much around, look, when you're doing your bookkeeping is not going to add value to your business. It's just a process that you need to do. So I think this is one area that you can really outsource, and you should be outsourcing, like getting a VA like I did. And then that will give you more time to spend on sourcing, finding great deals, rather than actually, looking at looking at purchasing. So hopefully that's been useful for you. But I'm just going to go have a quick look now to say, look, is there any other questions that anyone's got or anything else? So Sean's mentioned here, he says, yes mate, I need to have a little watch again to take it all in. So much to learn. Hey, don't worry, look, there's so much to learn in this Amazon business. It isn't just like, hey, you're buying something on Amazon. You actually need to learn everything about business, and especially when you come VAT registered, there's so much more to do. And then Sean's also mentioned, I'll upload a receipt as soon as I get it into my van. Yes, good man, that's what we would like to see. And then also need to be on top form. Hey, we all need to be on top form. Top A game. That's going to be the thing we're talking about, just to really push your business forward. Now, interesting enough, the one thing I should probably say is, I'm doing some work at the moment with some customers of mine about looking at train a VA for them. So if anyone's interested in whether it be something, the two areas that I'm looking at really initially are bookkeeping VA and sourcing VA, and predominantly around manual sourcing VA. So if it's something you're interested in, drop me a message down below, or drop me a comment, or private message me, and hey, that's something that I might be able to help you with, in the fact that we're looking at, just especially on like the bookkeeping side. For me, my bookkeeper started with me part-time. She did, I think it was like 2 hours a day, really simple, and admittedly she had a whole year to backlog. And then after that, she then started learning everything about Amazon inventory, making shipments, dealing with returns, customer messages, health checks, and then literally she's still part-time now, but she just does my whole Amazon business apart from sourcing and purchasing. So the moment a product lands in the warehouse, or doesn't land in the warehouse, she's chasing it to say, where is it, because it's late. And then the moment it gets into the warehouse, she'll deal with everything from that point onwards through to Amazon, selling it to the customer, all the reports and all the accounting and bookkeeping. And that's just one person in my business who I've just trained up over time to do more and more and more of my business, which has literally saved me so much time. So I think that'd be really useful for anyone who's interested. But if you are, and it's maybe a service you're looking at, I'd like to hire a VA, but I'm not sure what to do, then that's something which I'm looking at sharing with some people. So be sure to drop me a message down below or drop me a PM. I can certainly help you out with that. But I think today, look, I've kind of gone through quite a few bits. So if I just kind of recap, I've gone through a bit about, should we say, what I would do in regards to Amazon returns, warehouse and damages, and distributor damages and Amazon reimbursements. And then also as well, I talked a bit about how I'd build the systems around that. So just getting my VA to do it. Because again, like I said, this isn't something that's going to add value to your business. It's a process that needs to happen. You should be outsourcing it. Then I've talked a little bit about my weekly workflow, and the 3 things I've talked about are weekly cash flow, so the cash flow, what I do, and then I'm also looking at my weekly P&L, so how much money I'm making on a weekly basis, so I can kind of forecast where I'm going to be at the end of the month. And then finally, sales, I'm looking at my how much I've purchased and how much ROI I'm getting off that, and that's FastSheet. So if you're interested in that, I'll drop a link up here for the video for FastSheet, and I'll try and put that dot in so you can see that. And then finally, the final one I talked about, which is a question really from Sean about VAT and especially around bookkeeping. Now, the one thing to say is if you've got an accountant, speak to your accountant and see how they work. But literally, if I'm correct in thinking, and the way we've worked with our accountants is they just want all the invoices in a convenient location so they can see them all and then they query them. And then also as well is say we literally get all our purchases, all our invoices, we put them into a file, and then we just make sure they're coded onto Xero correctly. And once they are, and we're happy with that, I will check them all through. I'll do spot checks on them. I'll check my Xero report, and then what I will do is I'll then email my accountant and say, Joe, accountant, I'm happy with my VAT return. I think it's all correct. Happy for you to sign off and send it. He'll do a spot check. Once he's happy, it goes to HMRC, and we're all good. So there's 3 kind of areas I've talked about today, which are around different parts of your Amazon business, and in particular around systematizing, outsourcing, and just helping to scale your business. Because hey, the one question is you add value in sourcing, you add value in sales, but these processes, they don't add much value. They're just something that's going to happen. So you should be outsourcing, you should be systematizing these parts of your business as quick as possible, because they are things that need to happen. They're things that are going to save you money, but they don't add money to your business. They are just things that have to happen. So I'd really, really recommend drop these things down. Have a look at them. If there's something you're interested in, maybe even like hiring a VA, let me know, and obviously I can get in contact with you. We're trying to do something like kind of a beta version of a service to get it right first and then roll it out to everyone. But that might be useful. So I'm happy to get a few people in who are interested in doing that. But look, if there's any final questions, let me know down below. But what I am going to do is I'm just going to check back through. So Brian's just come on. So Brian said, definitely interested in bookkeeping VA2 as well as sourcing. Just caught the end of this. I hope to watch replay soon. And hey guys, thank you, Brian. That's really good. And what I'll just say is, look, if you like this, and hey, from me to you, I like doing these, but hey, it'd be really good. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a big like. Oh, so I got a bit of a cold one. And then finally, if you're maybe watching this on a replay or anything, then be sure to give me a thumbs up, or maybe drop some comments down below. Maybe there's something that I didn't talk about. Maybe there's something that you want to know more of. Maybe that there's something going on that I haven't talked about. I'm just checking in Amazon actually, or Amazon YouTube, and I'm having a quick look here. So I've got Alex Flips. What's the minimum ROI you'd accept? So Alex, great question. So my minimum ROI that I work to, interesting enough, I generally try and stay around about 30% ROI. And this includes VAT, prep. My prep is about 50p, ex VAT. And then on top of that, I include my UPS fee, which is 24p I calculate. So it's about that. And 30% is where I try and stay at. But I will go down to 20. Sometimes I've been a bit lower, but I wouldn't. And my advice to anyone is, if you are not VAT registered, you should be minimum 30. That's how I would say to anyone. But if you are above VAT registered, then I'd say it's up to you. And the reason is if you're above VAT registered, you're probably going to have systems in place, i.e. what I've just talked about, doing your VAT returns, doing your bookkeeping. And it doesn't, basically if you're selling more, massive volume, lower margin, that doesn't really matter. because you've got systems in place that can handle that velocity, that admin. But if you're having to do all the admin, then my God, don't go selling for low margin and massive volume, because every time you do that, you're just making more paperwork for yourself. So 30% if you're below VAT registered, which is £85,000 per year. But if you're not, personally me, 20%, but I won't really go below 20%, but I might go down to 20% if the sales are great and it's a good opportunity and I think I can churn it really quick. There's a part that I look at which is profit, ROI, and how quick can I sell it, i.e. sales and competition. And if the sales and competition are very minimal but the ROI isn't great, I think, and the profit's decent, I might go 20% and just quickly pump and dump, get my money back and say that's a nice 20% in a month, I'm happy. So Alex also asked, who do you use for prep? I understand if you don't want to share that. Alex, great, not a problem. So if you want to know, I use a company called Easy Logic and a guy called Sam. I have known him for 4 years because I did a business before Amazon, and that's how I found out about him. Interestingly enough, I asked in an Amazon group and he helped me out. And then, interesting enough, we moved over to prep, but he doesn't really do much Amazon prep. And if I put it in perspective, I actually built all the software that he uses to do our prep. So, but there are a lot of other really good prep services out there. Sam might be an option. You can certainly contact him, and that's Easy Logic. But also, what I will do is I'll drop a link down below, Alex, to a blog that I wrote about what they called about prep centers. So I think 6 of them I put in there, but also as well kind of top questions to ask, top things that you want to be looking for, things like how quick they communicate, what their pricing, how they then pass it off to Sam at Easy Logic, and then he'll fill out the box information and click send. Some prep centers won't do anything. They'll literally won't touch Seller Central, won't do anything at all. Some prep centers will do the whole lot. Like you literally tell them the ASINs and they do everything. So for you, it's about what level of kind of outsourcing you want, and obviously that all comes at a cost. So hopefully that's been informative for you. Chris, I think Chris says, Chris West, really looking forward to this. I've also noticed the past few webinars have been really hard to hear with the sound at max. Does the mic need turning up? Maybe it's just me. So Chris, hopefully this has got a bit louder. Sorry, it's the first time I've been live on YouTube, and hopefully it's been useful. But I think, for you is to say, sorry about the sound issues at the beginning. Still learning about that, and hopefully it's much better now. And interesting enough, a lot of the ones we try and do, I try and get when we re-record them, put them back out again, I get the volume pumped up. But hopefully this has been a little bit louder now and useful for you. And Chris West, thank you for letting me know I'm live on YouTube. This is the first one I've done. It's been really interesting, really good. And interesting if you want to know, I've only just found out where the actual chat window is. So sorry for not getting back to you sooner. So obviously now that I know that going forward, that'll be really good. But hey, look, I'm going to check back on Facebook. But any questions on the YouTube, guys, be sure to put that through. I'm just going to have a quick look through here. Anything on Facebook? No, nothing on there. So look, I think I finished on Facebook, and YouTube answered all the questions. That's been really good. What I will say is, look, if you don't know me, my name is Thomas Parkinson. I run FastTrackFBA. We provide a lead service for Amazon-based UK sellers where we show you all the deals and you get to pick and choose the ones you want. And if you've got any problems, you literally get a refund on that deal within seconds. So check it out, FastTrackFBA.com. I'll drop a link down below. And what I will say is, if you like this kind of videos, like this kind of content, give me a thumbs up. And if you're watching on YouTube, maybe in the YouTube replay, click subscribe. Because obviously you're going to get not only the lives, you'll get the videos that I put out. And a lot of what I try and share is about scaling, about systematizing your business, about saying you should be outsourcing this part because it isn't where you add value. You add value in sourcing and sales. That's it. They're the areas you add value or cutting costs. But the value shouldn't be in doing day-to-day administration work. That isn't how you grow your business. And hey, we want this business to help you. We want it to work for you. So, and look, if there's anything else, be sure to drop me a comment down below. But I do these lives every 2 weeks. And hopefully you found this useful. And if you have, let me know. Honestly, I really love that feedback. Or maybe there's something you want to talk about next week or watching on the replay. Let me know. I will check them all and I'll add them to the next lives that I'm doing. But I'll just kind of check. Nothing else on YouTube, nothing else on Facebook. Sean's just written there, we'll have to meet up in the UK next year. You're going to the Amazon meetings. Sean, I'm actually back in the UK, not this week, next week, until the 13th of January. I will land back on the 18th of December, and I'm in Vietnam at the moment, so I land back in London on the 18th of December. I fly back out again on the 13th, but I plan to be driving around the north part of England for probably the best part of 5 days after about the 2nd of January. So obviously I'll drop you a message, I'll drop it in my group. It'd be great to meet up with some sellers and really see what's going on, share some top tips, but also see what everyone else is going, what problems you're having, and if there's any value I can add to that, I'd love to do it. But I think, Sean, that's answered your question and answered everyone on YouTube. But what I will say is, for myself, Thomas Parkinson at FastTrackFBA, thank you very much and good night.